On Thursday, President Trump signed an executive order creating a new whistleblower protection office at the Department of Veterans Affairs. By the end of this week, the president will have signed more than 30 executive orders since taking office. Some of the more memorable include a review of President Obama's Clean Power Plan, an order that directed the Defense Department to come up with a 30-day plan to defeat ISIS, and two so-called travel bans. Earlier, I spoke with CBS News Chief White House correspondent Major Garrett for his take on the president's first 100 days in office. So, Major, throughout the campaign, you spent many months with then-candidate Donald Trump. Many times, you and others said that this was a campaign and a candidate unlike other candidates and campaigns. How fair is it, then, to judge this president, Donald Trump, by the same metrics that we judged other presidents on?
Well, my thoughts on those metrics for previous presidents is that they didn't very well apply to them, and they can't very well apply to President Trump. That is to say, the 100-day metric, the 100-day milestone, is important for precisely one American president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and no other American presidents, in terms of either what they accomplished or what they did or didn't accomplish in those 100 days, telling us very much about the remainder of their presidency, however long it was. So with that as a prelude or a premise, let's just say the campaign taught me that Donald Trump is going to do things differently. Full stop. And appreciate what different means to him and his team. And what difference means to them is proceeding different, sounding different, looking different, acting different. And along the way, as much as they can, disrupting whatever the comfort zone that existed before they arrived was. On that score, you have to call the Trump presidency at nearly 100 days a smashing success, because it has been different. It has upset a lot of the norms here. But you can also ask yourself this: is this president being seduced by executive authorities that he once criticized President Obama for? Yes, because he signed, and will have signed by the end of this week, 32 executive orders and many other executive actions. Does he understand the intricacies of working with Congress? He's beginning to learn them. And how well he masters that particular skill will determine how significantly this president can change actual policy in the country for the duration, which is by law. That is still an unknown and unanswered question for the Trump presidency. And on a big initiative like tax reform, the lack of specifics defers a lot of power to Congress. And on health care, he's also deferred a lot of power to the Republican-controlled Congress. So, though he retains a lot of power and likes to talk about how central he is to this conversation, in significant respects, he is pushing that conversation down Pennsylvania Avenue.
So I'm curious, Major, how it has been different covering this White House in the first 100 days of this presidency compared to other 100 days of other presidents. What's that been like?
I would say the biggest difference is you never really know what's going to come at you on any given day with the Trump White House. And by that I mean you don't know if it's going to be criticism of the press. We got a lot of that early on. Then that has sort of dissipated. You had a lot of stories that were outside of what the Trump agenda was. The whole Russia story, Michael Flynn, that was a huge surprise. National Security Advisor, huge Trump surrogate, gone after 24 days. And then we've learned so much about Michael Flynn after that the White House acts as if it didn't need to know, or shouldn't be asked why it didn't know, or if it knew. The outside stories and that which has come at this administration has been one of the things you've had to juggle. I would say in the last 3 or 4 weeks, the administration has gotten much better at putting together what it intends to do and then trying to explain what it's doing and why. At that level, I'd say the administration has gotten its legs under itself. Slower than previous presidencies I've covered, because previous presidencies I've covered came in knowing what their 90 or 120-day action plan was and tried to stick to that as relentlessly as it could. This White House is learning how to do that almost before our very eyes. And that process has created divisions within the White House, a tremendous amount of leaking about rivalries. That's also new. I'm not saying rivalries didn't exist, but the willingness of people to talk about how deeply divided at times this White House has become is also a new wrinkle of this White House. That's very different. Mm-hmm. Not that they exist, but that they're talked about, at least anonymously and privately, so aggressively.
So what are you looking for here? What storylines are you going to be watching closely in the next 100 days?
Well, the other thing I would say is it's important to appreciate just how much foreign policy has consumed the president's time, and unexpectedly so. North Korea, Syria, Russia, all three are parts of daily conversations and a tremendous amount of rigor within this White House about what to do and how to approach it. Lots of signals that this president wants to be different, more confrontational, more aggressive. But what does that mean in practical terms? What are we actually going to do about North Korea? Are we going to fall back on diplomacy and reliance on China, as previous administrations have? There's lots of loose talk on both sides. People are nervous about that, probably justifiably so. I think North Korea in the next 100 days is a huge issue for this White House. So will be Syria, Russia, and Iran.
All right, finally, Major, who do you have on the takeout?
Takeout this week, a relatively unknown congressman, Will Hurd from the 23rd District of Texas, former CIA field agent for 9 years, ran for Congress because at a CIA briefing, where he was the lead briefer, he encountered a member of Congress who had been on the Intelligence Committee for 4 years and stopped him in the middle of the briefing and said, "Can you explain to me the difference between Shia and Sunni?" And Will Hurd, as a CIA field agent, said to himself, "Are you kidding me? You've been on the Intelligence Committee 4 years and you don't know this basic central difference in this region of the world we've been involved in for a very long time?" And he thought if that's the level of either intelligence or lack thereof, he needed to get involved. So he ran for Congress and he was successful. And we had some delicious breakfast tacos in his office on the Cannon House office building. And that was a new venue for us and a new menu item, and it was really good. So that comes out on Friday.
I'm a huge fan. Can I get one of those stickers, Major?
Yes, you can get a sticker, and I'll even sign it for you. But because we're here, welcome to the White House.
Thank you so much.
Now it's time for us to pose for our prom picture. I did not bring a corsage, but everyone, take a good look. This is our prom picture. So remember, in happier times, make that to be the caption, okay? All right, Elaine.
Major, delighted to be here.
Thanks.